In this video, I'm going to show you some ways to thicken up your vocal sound right here in GarageBand for free. So let's go. Hi, my name is Pete and welcome to Studio Live today. In this one, I'm going to give you 3 different ways to get some vocal thickening in your GarageBand projects. We're going to do a beginner mode, an intermediate, and an advanced way to get this done. Now, even if you just want to watch the beginner one and move on, I do suggest watching all 3 because even if you don't want to use the more advanced method, you may just pick up a few tips and tricks that are going to help your vocal mixing in the future. Let's jump in now and take a look. Okay, we're here in GarageBand on my iPad, and before we get started, credit where it's due. This vocal thickening trick was one that I first saw Warren Hewitt do many years ago over on Produce Like a Pro, and more recently, my buddy Mike over at Creative Source did something very similar using Cakewalk by BandLab. But today, I'm going to show you a GarageBand variation of this very cool trick. Let's jump in now and get started. So let's start with the simplest way to get a little bit of thickness in our vocals, and that's to use a free plugin called Stereo Lag Time. I've showed this before, it's very cool. So we've got our vocal track here, we'll solo that, we'll jump in here to plugins and EQ, and then we're going to go edit. Now I've got a free slot here, so I'm going to just tap on that one, go up here to audio unit extensions, and then if I scroll on down, right down here to my S's, I've got this one, Stereo Lag by Blue Man Goo. I'm going to tap on that one, and that plugin is now on here. So if we tap on the plugin there, you can see it's a 1-dial plugin. I love me some 1-dial plugins. So all we can do with this one is either put a delay on the left side or on the right side. And the cool thing about this is that we can do very, very small moves, or we can do everything right up to 250 milliseconds, which is like a quarter of a second. That's going to give us quite a bit of delay. So let's, we'll dial this back down to 0. What I'll do is I'll play the track and then we'll dial this up, and you'll hear the thickness that we get just by separating out the left and the right channels on this vocal. Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best. So you can hear there that we're getting that bit of separation. Now, as soon as we go too big with it, yeah, it's moving it to the side. So you may need to then play around with your panning even, or do some other moves to sort of compensate for that. But what I like to do here is if I want to do something really simple, is to just add a little bit of this. So it can literally be something like just a few samples. If we put this in here at, say, around about 37 samples and hit play on that one. Maybe I don't always do what I say. Maybe the deadline's a myth. And again, if we compare that to if we bring it back to 0, so we'll just dial it back around. If we turn it back off and we play that same part. Don't always do what I say. Maybe the deadlines are missed by a day. But I'm here to tell you. So it just creates a little bit of separation. Now you might be saying, yeah, that's cool, but maybe I don't want that on my main track. Well, I'm glad you're thinking that, because often with these sort of tricks, we don't want them right there on the main track. What we want to do is duplicate our main vocal track and then add it to our duplicated track. So let's show you how to do that now. So we'll turn off the stereo lag from this track, and what we now want to do is actually duplicate this track. So all we need to do that is to tap right here on the icon and tap the duplicate button. Now, this has duplicated just the track, and it's even left the automation on. So we do then now need to separately copy this audio file or audio waveform. So what we need to do for that is just tap somewhere outside of it and just drag a big box around all of it. That's going to give us it all. Tap somewhere in there, tap again, and then tap copy. Now that's copied it into our clipboard. We now need to go to our next track. Now you need to line up your playhead when you're doing this sort of thing. And I know it's annoying that we have to actually copy the audio. It doesn't just duplicate that as well. So we're lined up there. We just tap in there. We hit paste. And there you go. We've got an exact duplicate copy of all of the audio of this vocal track. If we solo both of them, well, now we just got 2 copies. It's not going to do much. It's just going to be twice as loud. The next thing I want to do is turn off automation if you've got automation on this track. So we can tap on that one. We can go to automation. And then all we need to do is tap this little yellow button here, automation goes off. Now we've got independent control over our volume, which is going to be important because we're going to want to blend in some of these effects as we go along. So that is all done now. We hit done in the top right corner. We're all set up and ready to do this on just this duplicated track. So now that we've got our duplicated track, we can start adding effects to just this one. So again, we're going to go to our mixer icon, plugins and EQ. We've still got that stereo lag on here, so we'll turn it on and then we'll come in here and adjust the settings. So now we can probably even be a bit more aggressive with this, because what we'll do is we'll blend it in. So let's just throw it like 5 milliseconds over here to the left and hit done on that one. And now we've got these two together. So if we turn this down, what I'll do is I'll play back the vocal and then I'll dial this one up and you'll just hear that effect blending in with the original vocal. Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best. So you can hear that as I dial that up, it just starts thickening that up a little bit because it's shifting it slightly to the side. Now you're probably saying, well, yeah, it's not great because it's all just going one way. Well, of course, what can we do about that? Well, we can duplicate again and do the same thing. So let's do that. If we tap on this track, we go duplicate. You know this method by now. Luckily, we don't have to do much of the other things now because we've already got everything set up. We just need to copy our audio the same way, copy, and then go to our next track and get ready to paste it in by lining up that playhead. This is always the fiddliest part. Lining up the playhead, tapping there and hitting paste. And there you go. We've now got 3 tracks all in there, all doing the same thing. So if we wanted to, we can have that one and then grab this one. And now you don't have to do it the same. You could do it different, like do it more to the right, like mix and match. You can play around with this stuff. Again, there's no right and wrong when it comes to doing audio. You just want to find what works for you. So we'll just go with this because it looks a bit random. And now if we've got these two, we can now dial these two in separately. So let's go back to the start of the song and hit play. And we'll just dial these up and see what sort of effect we can get going on. Things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best. So there you go, and we'll just dial these back in a bit. Maybe I don't always do what I say. Maybe the deadline's a Now let's bring these back into the rest of our mix and just see how this sounds with this slightly more sort of thickened up, amplified kind of vocal. Missed by a day, but I'm here to tell you I'm trying to learn. And I'm running as fast as I can, but the work, it never ends. So I'm overdoing it there just so that you can hear the difference. But again, the beauty part of this is you can use whatever you want. You can play around with the different settings, and you can even do things like turning the different effects on and off. So these next versions, you may want to do things like turn off the echo and the reverb, or you may want to change around, turn off the plugins, the compressors. You can do whatever you want with these. I'm going to leave them as they are, but please experiment around and use this very cool way and simple way to use the stereo lag effect here in GarageBand. Right, let's kick into intermediate mode because now we're going to do some slightly different things here. We're going to use some panning and add some additional tracks to give us 4 tracks of effects, and yet you guessed it, in advance we're going to go to 8. So first of all, let's set up some additional tracks here. We'll tap on this one, we'll go duplicate, we'll tap on it, we'll duplicate again. Now again, we just need to copy this, so we're going to copy the entire waveform by clicking and dragging over the lot, tapping, tapping again, tapping copy, and then jumping in here, zooming in, remember pinching or spreading your fingers to zoom or in or zoom out. Make sure in exactly the right spot, tap it, paste, that's gone in. Unfortunately, it moves your playhead. You've got to go all the way back to the start, tap it, paste it in. There you go. You're like, Pete, you've gone mad. Why do we have 5 tracks? Well, we're going to show you in a minute. Let's just solo all these in here, and now we're set up and ready to go. What we're going to do here, just to give you the idea of this, is that we're going to use some left and right. So we're going to go left, right, and we're going to use some different levels of delay and also introduce some pitch changes to really take this thickening of the vocal to the next level. Let's jump in and get it done. So let's set up our panning first up. So we're going to grab this first track, we're going to go back here, and we're going to pan this one hard left. Now, GarageBand's a bit limited because all these tracks are stereo tracks, as opposed to mono tracks that you can have in other DAWs. But if we pan it to the left, it's still going to kind of work the same. We're going to grab this next one, pan it to the right, next one, pan it to the left, next one, pan it to the right. Now, something I should have done earlier is I'm also going to turn off the echo and reverb on these, just because the echo and reverb, you can leave them on, but they're actually a stereo effect, so they're going to shift things around a bit, and you can get it. It can be a little bit busy if you're using this tactic. So there you go. We've got the 4 clean vocals with our master, delay, and reverb all turned off, and we're ready to go. What I'm going to show you now is how we can dial these in using some delay, but also some pitch adjustment using another free plugin in GarageBand to get a really thick vocal sound. Let's get to work now with these plugins. So we're here in our first vocal track. We're going to go into plugins and EQ. Now we've already got the stereo lag here, but what I'm going to do is we're going to be a bit more precise with this. We're actually going to delay this by 10 milliseconds to the left. Even though it's already on the left, it doesn't matter. We're going to put it 10 milliseconds to the left, and this is just going to delay this vocal. In fact, I'll show you what we mean by this. If we come back here, we play the original vocal here by itself. We'll just solo just that one. It sounds like this. Everything's a little too thin, maybe I'm trying. And if we stop that there, if we just bring in this one and just bring it up, you'll hear there's a 10 millisecond delay on the left hand side. Let's play this. Trying too hard just to win, but my intentions are always the best. So you can hear that it's just thickening up just at that sort of small delay section there on the left. So we can do that there, and that will add that in. We're going to do something else to that as well, but let's set up the rest of our tracks first before we adjust that. What we're going to do is grab this next one. This time we're going to go to the right side, and we're going to go to 24 milliseconds. Now these are kind of arbitrary amounts. You can play around with these. These are just basically borrowing from what Warren and then Mike did on their original video. So again, those videos are down there. This is just me reimagining this here in GarageBand with slightly different stuff because GarageBand's slightly different. So there you go, 24 milliseconds to the right. We're then going to grab our next track. This time we're going to go to the left, and we're going to go 24 milliseconds. So we're balancing things out a little bit here. So there you go, 24 milliseconds on the left. And the last one here, you guessed it, we're going to go to the right. And this time we're going to go to the 10 millisecond. So we're varying these up a bit, and you'll kind of see why when we get to the advanced one. That's why I said you should probably watch all of these just to see what we're doing here. So there you go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks, 4 effect tracks here ready to go. Let's get into the next bit, which is changing the pitch of these, because adjusting the pitch can really just add a bit more thickness. You might be thinking, why would I want them to be off pitch? But slight variations to pitch is why we do things like vocal doubling, and it can really add some good effects to your vocals. So let's show you how to do that now. So we'll grab our first effect track here. We're going to go edit, and then we'll remove this effect EQ. It's sitting there doing nothing, so it can go, and then we'll tap the plus button here. We're going to go to audio unit extensions. We're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and the plugin that we want is actually this one down here called AU New Pitch. Now, if you don't have these plugins, these are built into iOS, but you do need to enable them. There's a video showing how to do that down in the description if you don't have them. So pause this one, jump there, get them added if you're following along at home. So we'll add the new pitch plugin. We'll tap on it. It's a very, very simple plugin. All that it really does is changes the pitch slightly. It does have some overlap and some other things there, but this is what we're going to use. And we're going to change it by a number of cents. Now, cents is just like a very small amount. We won't get into the detail of it, but it's a very small amount. It's not a semitone or a tone. It's a tiny amount. So that's the thing. We're not going to pitch this completely crazy. We're just going to tweak it. So the first one here, what we're going to do is tap on this one and drag it down. Now you'll realize we can't really get much precise control over this. So unlike other DAWs where you can punch in them out, this one, you go up and down, it kind of goes a bit crazy. Double tap to go back to 0, but if we just tap it and slide it slightly to the left, you're going to get it to -4. So that's the best that we've got here to do with this. So we've just slightly detuned that vocal. We'll go done on that one, and now we're going to do the rest of these, and you'll see how this all kind of comes together. So let's set up our next track. I've shortcutted a bit. I've just added the AU New Pitch plugin. You didn't need to watch me do that 4 times. So we'll tap on this one. This time we're actually going to go the other way. Yes, we're going to make it sharp by 3 cents, or in this case, 4 cents, because it's the smallest amount. In fact, it's going to be 3.75 cents. Again, this is not needing to be exact. So we'll go 3.75 that way because GarageBand doesn't let us adjust it as much. We can then grab this next one. Now, this is your choice. You can go extreme or you can go shallow here. So we'll tap on this one, we'll go to new pitch, and this time we're going to go to the right. So we're going to go sharp again. The reason we're doing this, so let's bring it up to say 11.5 cents there to the right. The reason we're doing this is, you remember, we're delaying to the left and the right. We kind of want to get it balanced. So you don't want all your sharp on the right and all your flat on the left. We're balancing it out by interleaving these, if that makes any sense to you. It will when we show you the final stage. So we'll come to this last one here. This one we're going to tap on, and this time we're going to go minus again. So we're going to pitch it down, and we'll go to that next one. Whoops, or just, again, it's not the easiest thing to do. Again, we're working with imprecise stuff. 11.75, there we go. We'll hit done there. So let's review what we've got here. We've got our original vocal. This one here, we've got our stereo lag, so it's delaying it to the left. And it's 10 milliseconds on this one, and it's panned to the left, so that makes 100% sense. We've got this one -4 on our pitch there. We come to the next one. We've got this one. It is now going to the right. And if we look at our pitch, it is going positive 3.75 cents. The next one here, we'll go to the stereo lag. Now it's to the left by 24 milliseconds, so it's more delayed. We look at our pitch. This time it's going up, so it's going sharp by those 11 cents. And then the final one here, again, we've got the stereo lag. This is going to the right. And if we come to the pitch, it is going, yes, it's going negative 11.75 cents. You might be saying that's a lot of work to do, but remember, once you set up this, you could even save this as a template and use it in future tracks. So you don't have to redo this every time on every project. You can have this sitting here as your defaults, as your template in your vocal template. And yes, we are taking up 4 additional tracks here. So you may run out of tracks. You may need to merge down, which we'll show you at the end of this one as well. I know what you want to do. You want to hear this in action. So let's bring all these tracks back in, and we'll take a listen to what this vocal sounds like now. Before we bring our regular vocal back in, let's just listen to these 4 solo. This should be interesting to hear what these sound like. Let's hit play.
Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best.
So you're hearing a couple of things there. You're hearing that slight delay that you're hearing on the left and the right side, but you're also hearing the pitch changes, those slight changes in pitch. Let's now bring back in our regular vocal, and we'll just layer these up and see if we can get a nice sounding vocal here overall.
Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions...
You can hear there that it's nice and thick. Let's just do a quick comparison here. We'll take off all of those and listen to just the vocal.
Maybe I spread things a little too thin.
Add them back in.
Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best.
Just gives you that bigger stereo space, that bigger spectrum, and that bigger sound because it's got a wider field, and that little delay and those little pitch changes are just adding a little bit in here, similar to what a vocal double or a vocal triple is going to do. Let's just come in here and listen to a bit of the track with all the other instruments to see how it sounds.
Maybe I don't always do what I say. Maybe the deadlines are missed by a day. But I'm here to tell you I'm trying.
So it's sounding pretty good. Again, I've accentuated those. I've turned them up louder than you probably would to give you that real feel for it. So that is what we've got so far. Let's dive in and show you the next level. You're probably already ahead of me, but if you want to do some more advanced moves here, let's take a look at those. So let's jump into part 3, the advanced mode. Now I've saved you all of the pain of watching me do this. It didn't actually take that long, about 5 minutes, but there's the 4 tracks we already had. And yes, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more tracks in here. We've got 9 tracks in total on this vocal. Now, if I play these all together, which I'm going to, we'll solo all these, it's going to sound kind of weird, especially at this level. But this is the beauty part. We can blend it all in. We can make it sound like it's just adding a little bit to these vocals. But just for a bit of fun, let's play all 8 of these tracks now and see what it sounds like.
That thing's a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win.
So at the moment, it's sounding very much like an effect. It's not what you'd go with. And even if we bring the regular vocal back in.
But my intentions are always the best.
I mean, it's not bad. It's pretty good in there, but it's got a little bit too much. So that's where we'd sort of start adjusting these. And because these ones are those smaller changes, we might have a little bit more of them. You can have a little bit less of these. And as we go down here to some of the more extreme changes that we've added in, we can actually change these around. Now, I didn't show you all of the figures. There'll be a chart down in the description and a link to one. I'm borrowing it from Warren and from Mike because it's been done before. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here. It's definitely something that I'm borrowing from them, but I thought it would be cool to show you how to do it in GarageBand. So let's, now that we've dialed those all in, let's bring these back into the main mix, shall we? So we'll unsolo all of these suckers and we'll play from the start and take a listen to this track with my new vocal that's all thickened up.
Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best.
Sounding pretty good, yeah? And again, we can start sort of moving these around and doing different things with them. But Pete, we got 32 tracks in GarageBand. I'm not going to use 8 of my precious tracks just doing this vocal effect. Well, guess what? Once you're happy with it, you don't have to. You can do a merge to bring all of these effects down into one, and it's going to keep in all that panning. It's going to keep in all those pitch changes, and you'll be good to go. So let's finish up showing you the merge, and then we can bring all these effects back into one stereo track. So to merge our track, we just tap on one of these, we tap on the icon again, and we tap the merge button. This brings up our merge function. And now, over here on the left, we're going to tick all 8 of these tracks. Have I got them all? It's hard to count. Hard to count and click at the same time. Yes, that's all the tracks. That's a backing vocal. So now we can merge all of these tracks at those volumes. In fact, I can't change the volume now. That's all right. Those volumes are going to be up. We'll merge all of these down into one stereo effect track. So we'll hit merge on all of those. It's going to go away and do its merging business. It's doing its thing. It's going to take a while because it's got a few things to get through. We'll let it finish its merge. It's going to duplicate our project. It's going to merge those tracks. We'll come back and show you that one stereo track. There you go. Our merging is done. If we solo just this merged track and take it to the start here, let's take a listen to just these effect vocals.
Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying.
There you go. You can hear the left and the right separation. Everything's good. If we now just want to tap and drag this sucker carefully back up to the top, like so. There you go. Back up here under our regular vocals. There you go. And if we bring these back in, we can now mix these in with just one volume slider and just bring this effect, this 8-channel effect, is now just on this one channel. So if we hit play and we'll bring it on up, we'll see what we can do.
Maybe I spread things a little too thin. Maybe I'm trying too hard just to win. But my intentions are always the best.
There you go, you label this one thickness, and now you've got your very own custom thickness control for this project that you can bring up and down, and you can see that the sky's the limit with this. Just using those 2 different techniques, the delay and then the pitch change, you can actually do some really cool things to thicken up your vocals here in GarageBand. I hope you found this useful. There's 2 more videos there and there if you want to learn more about vocals in GarageBand, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.